Hello, Olimpiu, and welcome to Skills for Mars. I'm really happy to be hosting you.
Hello, Julia. Hello, Julia. Nice to meet you again and see you after such a long period. Huh? We know each other for such a long time. I'm really, very happy to be with you in this project.
So, thank you so much for joining. I'm looking forward to this discussion because I think it's an important one. Rarely you see any kind of doctors or medical experts talking about the future of their industry. So I'm really, really happy to be having this chat with you.
Yes, well, it was very, interesting that when you proposed me to do this talk, and actually, I'm thinking maybe every day how can I improve my job and what's the future of what I'm doing. So it was really a nice subject, and I'm really happy that I can put my insight here.
Can you introduce yourself a bit and maybe name, education, what you do for a living, and how did you get there?
So I'm 40 years old. My name is Olimpiu Harceaga. I'm Romanian, and I've studied medicine in Cluj-Napoca. And afterwards, I specialize in dermatology and plastic surgery. That's for last 10 years what I've been doing. And right now I'm a specialist. I'm pretty much practicing only aesthetic surgery in Cluj-Napoca in Romania for 3 years now. So this is what I'm doing for a living. Like one of my colleagues would say, I'm suturing for a living. Or I'm tying knots.
Is this why you chose aesthetic surgery, or was there any other reason why you chose this particular field in medicine?
Well, it's an interesting story because actually aesthetic surgery, I think, chose me. I wouldn't thought during my faculty that I will do aesthetic surgery, but I've choose first to do dermatology, and from dermatology I've started to do surgery, more surgeries, and then I've moved into this field of actually in the plastic surgery, because if you want to become an aesthetic surgeon, you have to do a training in plastic surgery. And the plastic surgery is actually the name of the specialization. There is not an aesthetic surgery. You cannot train only in aesthetic surgery. So you have to become a plastic surgeon, and then you decide if you want to do aesthetic surgery or not. Aesthetic surgery is, of course, part of the training, but the big image is plastic surgery, plastic and reconstructive surgery.
So this, I guess, includes everything related to burns or any other functional stuff as well, not only aesthetic, right?
Sure. Aesthetic surgery, I would say it's a very small part of the field. Actually, the plastic surgery is about reconstruction and repairing, getting back the function and also the image of traumatized people, of burned people, and I think aesthetic surgery is quite old, but maybe after the war it become more available to regular people, and it's actually a tiny part of the whole field. But it's a very interesting and very demanding one, because of course you work with the healthy people actually, and you don't want to get those healthy people unhealthy.
Now you mentioned the war. Is this how plastic surgery started?
No, actually, plastic surgery started very, very, like maybe 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. It was recognized only during the 50s. After the war, it was recognized as a different, specialization and a different branch of surgery. At the beginning, it was a part of the armamentarium of regular surgeons. So regular surgeons would do reconstructive surgery. And actually, in the beginning of the day, a surgeon could do everything from neurosurgery to, internal surgery or gastrointestinal surgery. And then when the time passed, they start to specialize into different areas. And now everything is moving to a very tiny branches to specializations, let's say. And plastic surgery is one of those.
Tell me something. I was thinking about it, and I'm happy in my job when someone gets, right, I do recruitment. So when someone gets a job and they write to me a message and they say that they are happy with the job, I'm the happiest in the world. I made someone happy, their life is good, their family life is good, it's perfect. How do you feel when someone that comes to you into your practice, healthy, wanting to look better or to have something functional repaired? How do you feel when that's done and they come back with a big smile?
It's very rewarding. It's something that you fear sometimes that it won't happen, and when it happened, you're so happy, and you just find fuel to go to another day, because it's, I have to say, a demanding job, and of course when you do something good, then everybody's happy and you feel good, and you just find enough fuel and enough energy to learn something new and to go ahead with your job. So I wouldn't say I'm looking for this every moment, but definitely I want to have good results, and I think this can become a problem. If you are too perfectionist, then it will come against you.
Okay.
Surgeon, especially an aesthetic surgeon, so you cannot get everybody's happy. That this is what I've learned in in last years. But I'm trying hard to get everybody happy, and it's really a cool feeling when the patients are coming back to you and they are saying, look, you changed my life. Actually, I had I think yesterday or the day after, the day before, a lady which I've done a lip lift, and she told me that you boost my self-esteem by 100%, and it was such a small surgery. Actually, it's just a lip lift, so just I lift her lip up. Yeah, but people they're having all sorts of I wouldn't say problems, but ideas, and if you help them to fulfill their dreams, then you make them happy.
Oh, for sure. Because I was looking at the pictures, right, of the surgeries that you've done, and I was thinking, wow, these people might have suffered their entire life for a nose, a lip, a ear, breasts, and everything else. They might have suffered for the whole life, and then finally they have what they wanted, and they can be proud of themselves and show up at the beach.
Sure. That's the way it is. Actually, one of my seniors doctors would say, he said, actually, aesthetic surgery is surgery of the brain, actually. So the people can live without that surgery. And when you operate them, you actually operate their brain. So it's sort of psychiatric surgery. So you just boost their morale. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's amazing. That must feel amazing. You told me it's a demanding job. What does a day or a week or a month in the life of a plastic surgeon look like?
Well, since I'm doing only aesthetic surgery, so I'm not working in another hospital, then all my energy is concentrating into aesthetic part of the job, aesthetic surgery. So what I'm doing, I'm usually operating 2 times per week, and the rest 3 days per week I'm doing consultations. I'm trying to not work that hard, let's say, because I don't rush anywhere, and I don't want to fly to the moon. So I'm trying to not overwork myself. But what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to have a look at each case, and trying to find the best way to achieve what they want to achieve. And I've said at the beginning that aesthetic surgery is a different branch from plastic surgery or reconstructive surgery. But in a way, it's actually also reconstructive surgery, because when you, let's say, do a nose, you actually reconstruct that nose. So you have to respect the anatomy, and just to modify that anatomy, have a result that you want. So it's demanding because you have to, each case you have to, to review and to find the best method to operate it. So aesthetic surgery, it's a very individualized surgery. And each technique you cannot maybe apply to each patient. So your technique has to suffer modifications when you apply it to another patient. So I think that's maybe the interesting part and also demanding part, because you as other surgeries, I would say, like I don't know, they do pretty much the same. Technical aspects are the same, but in aesthetic surgery you have to modify that to the anatomy of the patient, and not even two patients are not the same. So everybody's different. I think that's the most demanding part, actually, because you have to adapt. You have to really adapt yourself to different anatomies. Yeah.
And now this begs the question, because I know this has started to change in dentistry, but did it change in aesthetic surgery as well, where the patient is not a patient anymore, but they somehow become customers? And you shift a bit the focus because they participate in the process, they give their opinions, they have feedback. Sure. Before it wasn't like that; they were just subordinate to the doctor.
It's true, and I think in aesthetic surgery, I'm talking that every day actually with my nurses and with my assistants, that actually we don't have patients in aesthetic surgery; we have customers, and that's very true. Even the way that we drive our business, it's more like towards the customer than towards a patient, because you have to advertise yourself, you have to sell in a way your service, and that's not very medical, I would say. Of course the patients are coming because they heard that you are a good doctor, and other patients are told them this. But also they come when you see your advertisement. So that's why it's actually we have customers. So you are right. It's maybe like in dentistry, or more like in dentistry. It's still I think they have patients for most of the procedures, but we have mainly in aesthetic surgery customers. So the people are not ill.
Does this change the relationship you have with them?
I think yes.
As a doctor.
Yes, I think it's actually more demanding because, as you earlier said, you cannot, I don't know, tell that patient, look, you have to do this and that, and they go and do it. You have to explain them, and of course the expectations are higher. It's because also of the money that they pay, because aesthetic surgery is not, reimbursed by state. So everybody has to pay their own surgeries, and they're not cheap, actually. So because I think the relationship is more. I mean, a doctor has to involve more into this relation. You have to explain more. You have to be very careful what you are telling them, and it's a bit different. It's a bit different.
These skills are not taught in medical university. Where did you learn them? How did you grow as a business person, and how did you develop your relationship with customers where this was not taught?
I don't know if I'm good enough to this. So I'm asking myself every day if I'm advertising myself enough or whatever. But I'm not very concerned about that. So I think common sense can teach you something. as in every other aspect of your life. You have to be born with a small sense of business, of doing business, and maybe I have some, maybe I don't have enough, I don't know. I was looking. Internet can teach you, of course. You can follow courses. You can see other surgeons what they are doing, especially in the United States. They are very good at doing this. So I think I followed a lot of web pages, a lot of webinars, a lot of Instagram can teach you a lot. I haven't followed a MBA or something because I don't have the time. and I have some people which I hire them, and they are, taking care of my website, of my, I don't know, accounts, social media accounts, and stuff like that. But in the end, it's the quality of the job that you're doing. It's doing the most advertisement. I mean, on the long term, because you can start, with a lot of advertisement and lose your steam if the results are not quite as good as people are expecting to be. Yeah. So yes.
No, I'm thinking because all the doctors that I know lately had to become business managers. They had to do personal branding, which is totally out of their skill range.
True.
And then as do you, right? Common sense and then internet and all of that. That's how they get taught, and they learn step by step, like all of us.
It's true. Some other doctors are very good at this. Some other are not very good. I don't know which ones are having the most of the patients, but in the end, it's the quality of your work, which is, I think more than 60% of your, tools that are bringing patients to you. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's important when you start. Of course, it's good to have a good image, social media image and stuff like that. But still, results are more important.
You got educated in the UK as well and practiced in the UK as well. Is there a difference between the Romanian and the UK market?
Well, very, it's a big difference. I would say it's a big difference between UK and continental Europe in terms of training, yes, and in terms of market as well. I would say the training in UK as a plastic surgeon, it's longer, it's harder, and they get top of the notch training. Well, lately, because they I don't know, they somehow they're, I would say they're not letting the residents do so much work because of the legal aspects. The training is not that good as it was before, let's say 20 years ago. But still, the training it's very good. And the market, of course, it's compared to the market where I work, it's more mature, I would say. So people are knowing well, the services that they're looking for, and I think the expectations also are more, realistic than in the market where I work. Romania is quite a young market for this type of business, and actually all the procedures are different. Of course, because also of the anatomy of the people. We have in Romania maybe more problem with the noses than in the UK, because they have the more Nordic aspect and we are more Eastern aspect. So that's one of the differences. I operate a lot of noses. But also the people which are coming to consultations in UK, they are more mature and they know, better what they expect to be. And I would say, another interesting aspect is that they are not, maybe the patients which I saw, they are not so concerned about tiny imperfections, I would say. In Eastern country, and I've talked with Turkish colleagues, which they said that, the local people are more demanding than the people which are coming from Western countries. I don't know. Maybe it's just my impression.
You see them more often than definitely we do. So
yeah,
your impression counts.
Yeah.
More.
So what I also want to say that the Western people are more easygoing.
I think society is more accepting as well of little imperfections. Whereas if I go home in Romania and I'm not the smallest person or anything, I can be considered. Yeah, I'm judged immediately. Whereas if I'm in a Western country, no one cares about it. Like literally no one cares. But at home, everyone cares. So I think maybe it's cultural as well. A bit.
Could be. And I think it's, more, more intense if you go Eastern than Romania.
Yeah. I mean, Korea, it's well known for China as well for what they do in surgery. So yes, apparently Easterners are more concerned with how they look.
Yes. Even if it's not that accepted, I would say, in more Eastern countries, not the democratic ones, but in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, although the experience in UK was very, very nice. I mean, I've had the luck to meet people which are still friends with me now, and we talk about cases, and I work with some very, very nice guys up there. I've been in probably 3 hospitals. The most of the time I've spent in Oxford, and I'm still a very good friend with my former boss from there, which are experienced now. I can say that I'm more experienced than him in aesthetic surgery.
Are you looking at some point to move to the UK or no?
No. It was not for me. The society. I don't want to get into details, but actually I wouldn't say that the main difference, but they work very, very hard, those people, and I don't want to work that hard. I wanted to have, time with my family and so on, and do something else as well. And because I came from another country, it was not possible. I mean, I had to work and to recognize my training a lot of years.
Yeah, for sure. And I moved to a country where the aim is to work as efficient as possible and as little as possible.
Oh, that's nice.
So no one wants to work the full day here or 12 hours or anything. No, the aim is to work maybe 2-3 hours a day, be extremely efficient, and then go back home, take care of your family, take care of your friends, hobbies, whatever. And I think that's the future as well.
Nah.
And are you using or are you putting in place any kind of technology in aesthetic surgery so it can help you work less? Is there any chance, even if you're not using it, but are there advancements in technology in aesthetic surgery so at some point doctors can have more time for themselves, even more time to study, to read research, right? You don't usually get that.
Yes. Well, regarding time, it's, I think, your personal choice. So you can work less and then you have more time. And then you don't have to, as I said, to go to the moon by doing this job. Of course, technology can help us. And I want to give you a brief example. What happened now during this COVID-19 crisis, when I didn't have to go to a congress, I could have my congress in front of my screen. There were so many webinars, and I've learned so much during this time, actually, because every society, every professional society had a lot of webinars which were free. You could watch movies with surgeons doing surgery instead of going to a congress. So that's a small example of how technology can improve our lives as aesthetic surgeons. And I'm talking about some other areas. Of course, there are. You know what? I was thinking in a day that maybe in aesthetic surgery, it will not come that day when a robot will operate a patient or a customer. Actually, I think I'm wrong. A day, or not during our lives. Aesthetic surgery is still, I think, the most human-related part of the entire surgical, areas. I think it's very human-related. I think it will, take some time when a robot will do surgery for us. But till then, I think right now we have a lot of software which we can use for morphing images. I'm using that software to morph my patients, especially for the noses and for the augmentations of the face or something like that, and also for surgery. And this can help you a lot because you can explain to the patient, and also you can plan your surgery regarding that. So that's a big help, I think. most of the time when I'm sending a patient a morphing image with their noses, they are very happy, and they are, we like save a lot of explanation a lot of time.
So the morph image is like a digital.
Yeah, I make photos and then I morph them. I use Photoshop to morph them.
Okay.
How the nose, it's not 100%, it's not a guarantee, and that's very good stated there. But it's still something that I aim for, and they see how they look, because it's, you cannot imagine yourself how you look with a new nose or with a new tip of the nose. But when you see a picture, then it's more realistic, and the doctor can, or he's trying to do this, so I'm happy with that.
And they get more relaxed, I imagine.
Yes, of course. Also, you can, what else you can do? I'm doing, CT scans for some patients to see the internal structure of the nose. That's again technology. So I think in aesthetic surgery, mainly the image. We work a lot with the image. Therefore, we imply, or we use in our practice this kind of software where you work with the pictures, you work with the images. There are on the market some very cool softwares which they can tell you, say for a breast implant, what kind of implant to use to get to that image. So I think that's the next level, where artificial intelligence will tell you have to do that, or you have to put that amount of fat in a face of the patient to have that image. Yeah, so I think that's something that we're gonna go into. Okay, and of course, then I can tell you about advancements in terms of instruments and in terms of stuff that we use during the surgery. I'm using to cut the bone now. I'm not using anymore the chisel and the hammer, as maybe rhinoplasty used to do it, or rhinoplasty surgeon used to do it 50 years. We are now, some surgeons I'm using now, and I'm using ultrasound. There is a device which mainly dentists are using. Actually, it's like a very powerful scaler. When you whatever, you use it for tooth. And we have that device much more powerful that can cut the bone. So you can cut the bone very, very precise. Not that much trauma. The patients are not, having those, image
scars and black eyes.
Exactly. It's more control. It's definitely more control, and you can get what you want more easier than to use the chisel and the hammer. Yes.
Is there anyone who maybe already started to request some, I don't know, electronic beautifying devices, or using stem cells or anything like that in plastic or aesthetic surgery, or not yet?
So stem cells, that's an interesting subject as well. The ultimate filler, you know about fillers, huh? Do you use acid hyaluronic or hyaluronic acid? No.
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't think I need it. Look at me.
Okay. You don't, of course. So a lot of people are using hyaluronic acid to fill the gaps and whatever, to refresh their faces. And the ultimate filler would be, fat. Actually, we do use fat from your own body and to transfer into another part of the body. But the problem with the fat is that you don't know how much it will survive. So lately, there are some researches which are using stem cells, extracting from that fat, and reintroduce it into fat, to make that fat to survive in a bigger percentage than before. So that's about stem cells. Of course, there are a lot of advertisement, but it's not that easy. We are just guessing where the stem cells can be used. Yeah, stem cells.
I I have another question, which was because I thought of you while COVID was happening. Mm-hmm. Did you have to do any kind of telemedicine with the patients that maybe you already operated on and you couldn't check on them?
Yes.
How did things happen during this pandemic?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's another example of technology which is influencing our lives and our medical practicing. Yes, I've used video calls and video consultations actually during these periods of months. I've done video consultations, and I also check my patients on video. So it was very, very, and we can take care of our patients. Actually, it was fantastic that we have this tool because everybody has a cell phone or a smartphone actually, and it was easy. I haven't had any patients which I couldn't see. Mm-hmm. They could send me photos. So yeah, it was a remote medical practice. But we could function.
Yeah, I thought of you several times in this period because I know when I send you pictures and whenever I send pictures to doctors and they say, yeah, I have to see you face to face. You know how this goes. I cannot put a diagnosis on pictures. So now it seems like we are getting used to this.
Yeah, sure we can. Sure we can. Especially, in aesthetic surgery where pictures and images is everything, and easily send pictures and you can have an idea of what's happening. If it's something acute, then you can tell the patient, "Oh, look, I really need to see you." Mm-hmm. But most of the time, it's not that way. So yeah, it's just a check. So yeah, we could.
Do you think the aesthetic and plastic surgery market will be growing? Do you think it will stay the same?
During.
Just, I don't know, 10,
on a short term or long term?
Short term, long term.
Okay. So on a short term, I was surprised to see that, the number of the requests are not dropping because everybody's talking now prices will come. Maybe it will drop in later on the year, but right now it's not dropping. And my impression is that, because automatization and technology and artificial intelligence, it's penetrating everywhere. I think the people will work less, and they will spend more time, into spas, into aesthetic praxis. So I think the business will grow. I am pretty positive. When I see the trends and when I see the number of the procedures, it's growing every year. So it will not stop because of this as well, and because the people will not work that hard anymore. Definitely.
Yeah. So the well-being and the looks are definitely getting more and more important. Even with Instagram, right? Everyone needs to look at their best, and these are all pictures where you show off, not doing anything else.
Sure. Okay. That's true. Selfies are making people crazy. I have patients which are coming and saying to me that I don't look good in selfies, so I want to change that and that. So that's clearly a sign that social media it's an
influencer.
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't know if this is good or not, but it's just happening, and I think the trends will be still higher in the next year.
If anyone wants to become a plastic or an aesthetic surgeon, what are the top 5 most critical skills that they need to have, that you think that they need to have to make it out there?
Yes. Interesting question. And I'm not old enough to recommend somebody to become a plastic surgeon or not, but I can tell you from my personal experience that you have to be resilient. So you have to think that you need to train a long time, and then you can become a good plastic surgeon or a good aesthetic surgeon. So if everybody goes into there, they have to think it's a hard work, and you have to be. Your family has to support you. You have to I would say, even physically, you have to be very resilient, because not mainly in aesthetics, but in plastic surgery, you can have surgeries 12 hours. I had during my residency surgeries 12 hours when you reconstruct a hand or something else, which is and it's emergency. You have to go to the hospital and you come back home next day to stay all the night operating. So physical resilience can be also an important aspect. Of course, mental, you have to be very tough, I think. And you have to be good with your hands. That's true. You have to be very handy. You have to like to do things, and things have to be, coming out from your hands in a good shape. I don't know how to say that. You have to like to repair things. You have to like to even to do, I don't know, sculptures, paintings. You have to be good at that. You have to love art, I think, to be an aesthetic surgeon, because it's about art and beauty. You have to, to love beauty. Of course, everybody loves it, but you have to, recognize it and to know how to achieve that. What's wrong with the person? How can you get that person better looking? And then I think you have to be good in geometry. Something like that. So it's I think a lot of skills, and unfortunately nobody tests that skill. Actually, when you go into this, it's totally a luck. It's nobody tests your skills when you go into these residency. Nobody is asking you, okay, do you know how to paint something or do something or with your hand? Nobody. It's just a matter of test, and you go there and you see if you're lucky enough. You have your genes with you.
That's what I wanted to say, because all of this, I mean, being handy, loving art, loving beauty, understanding this geometry and all of that, it's not something you learn in school, and not something that's tested when you get into medical schools, not something that's tested when you choose your specialty.
Definitely not. I saw some videos from Japan, and they apparently test something else that only like your knowledge. So they test also when you get into the medical school, they test also the handiness and what they can do with their hands, but not Romania, definitely not. I don't know in Western countries if any countries is testing that. So I think that's very, very important. I would definitely do this some kind of test for people which are going into this field, because they can be very good into some other areas, and they can ruin their life if they end up in such a job and they don't like it, or maybe they like it but they are not they don't have the skills to do it.
Because for sure, and it takes a very long time to study it. I mean, it's
a lot of study, but alongside with the study, it's something that you have to have it. Mm-hmm. I can say that I'm not a very, I wasn't a very, very, bright student or stuff like that. And you don't have to be that bright student. Of course, you have to pass your exam and stuff like that. But alongside with that, you have to have your skills with you. Otherwise, it will be a terrible, mistake into going there. Really.
Was there one of them that you had hardship with, that you had to learn and put an accent on? I know you were handy, so the handiness part was not your issue. I'm sure the resilience was not your issue.
It's true. I'm not that speedy. Mm-hmm. I need time to be more speedy. Surgeries are taking maybe 20% more than and I'm looking to details, and maybe I shouldn't do that much.
You are very detailed, true. I do remember that.
Yes, but that's, as I said at the beginning, can be again sometimes, of course. I'm just like at the beginning of my career.
You worked in 2 markets and you studied in 2 different places, and I know you're in touch with a lot of people. Is there a better place to get educated, maybe a good cost
Yes.
and experience and practice balance, or what
Sure.
would you look for if anyone is wants to get educated and become an aesthetic surgeon or plastic surgeon?
Shall we say name of the countries, or
why not even
expect
names of universities if we know one which is good? And
I don't know university, but I can say that in France, apparently I haven't been, but talking with colleagues, I understand that in France they get quite a good training in plastic surgery. But of course, the top-notch country it's US. To go there and to have a fellowship or to start your training there, it's definitely you get the best training, because it is like that. When you do plastic surgery in your residency, you don't learn a lot of aesthetic surgery, actually, because it's not the aim. The hospital which pays you actually wants to use you or to train you to do reconstructive surgery. They don't care about your aesthetic, work. So, but in US, apparently the residents are trained in aesthetic surgery as well. So that's why I'm saying that they have more comprehensive training program that in Europe. From what I know, even in UK, they don't have aesthetic surgery so much. They have some, but mostly in private, not in the NHS hospital. Yes, in France and in Germany, it's pretty much the same. They do have some aesthetic surgery in state-owned hospitals, but the top country it's US and South Korea, as you mentioned earlier.
Okay, is there one, if anyone doesn't have the right finances to go to South Korea or the US, some good balance that they can find anywhere? Would that be France, Germany?
I think France or Germany should be good. Any of these two countries can get you a good training, pretty much good training. But you know what? It's your drive which actually makes the good training. You have to travel a lot. If you have to drive, you will get a good training, because you're concerned because you don't know how to do that procedure. So you want to go to see somebody or to go to Congress, and you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Training into this, but it's long, hard, way. It should be, more, and a lot of people are talking about. It should be more into our residency, more aesthetic surgery into our residency, but it's not. As I said, the hospitals are having, trauma patients, burn patients, and you work with these kind of patients.
Yeah. But maybe that's driven by insurance companies as well, right? Because aesthetic surgery is not covered usually by insurances, right? But whereas the rest might be covered. Yes,
the rest is definitely covered. I don't know what to ask, what to answer to your question. If somebody doesn't have, the money to travel and to go, it would be very difficult. In Romania, actually, we had quite a good training in plastic surgery in my city, and people are very open-minded. I have a lot of cases, and maybe because it's not so well, how should I say? It's more. You can touch the patients without any problems. You don't have to have so many papers legally.
Yeah, legally. Mm-hmm.
Operate. So it's more. You can easily do things with your hands back home than maybe in UK. In UK, I had to have an insurance even if I wanted to help somebody in aesthetic surgery. So I have to insure myself as a helper, which was it's unthinkable back home. Yeah, but it's very regulated, and that has a lot of good parts as well.
Is there a possibility to do any kind of practical work in a practice like yours or anyone else's who's maybe more experienced, and you are a student and you just ask for an internship or something like this? Does this exist in?
Of course. I'm doing the same. Okay. I'm just asking people if I can go and shadow them and watch them. So most of them, I don't think I had one which refused me. But most of them will accept you, and you can go there and watch them. Of course, you don't get any pay. You have to pay yourself expenses and stuff. But apart from that, there are some fellowships that you can apply. Actually, I've applied to. I had a fellowship run by Dutch aesthetic surgeon association or something, and they didn't pay me anything, but the hospital where I went, I choose Germany, offered me accommodation for free. Mm-hmm. So you can get those. You can definitely get those. You have to have a good CV, and then you apply for fellowship. There are more and more, many fellowships now. And so I think you can get the training, but it's a long way and hard way. As I said, you have to travel a lot. Family has to support you. Yeah, it's not easy.
Anything, 2 or 3 advices that you would like to give people that are just starting in this, and maybe they just chose their specialty in plastic or aesthetic surgery?
Sure. Well, I think they have to specialize early. They have to recognize what they like, because plastic surgery is very, very broad. Aesthetic surgery is just one part, one small part, but you can choose, hand surgery, burn surgery. So if you specialize, then you know what you are looking for, and you can get very good at that. You can follow only those people. I think that's very important. Specialize. Also, I would recommend them to travel, see more than one people which are doing the same procedure, because everybody's doing different. I think you have to be member of at least one society and to attend congresses and to attend conference. You have to try to write a paper. I've wrote a few, not a lot. I wrote a few. I think it can teach you a lot if you write papers. And you have to travel. I think that's very important. To travel and to apply to fellowships and see other people working, see other systems. I think that's very important to have a good training.
I have one last question.
Sure.
What's next for Dr. Olimpiu Harceaga? What's next for your practice? What's next in your studies? What's next in what you do as an aesthetic surgeon?
Well, that's a tough question. I think I have to have my own praxis. I think that's the next move. Because right now I'm working in a praxis, but it's not mine. So I think the next move is to have my own praxis, and maybe to specialize more on nose, because I like the nose. I think that's my next move, to have a praxis and to join some other people, to be joined by some other people, and to specialize in something more.
If anyone wants to find you, whether they want their surgery or whether they just want to work with you or ask for advice, where can they reach you?
I think the best way is to search my website, which is www.drolimpiuharceaga.ro. And if they write me an email, I will definitely answer them. And I'm still young, but I think I can offer something.
I think that's actually an advantage, right?
Yes, that's true. It's true, but yes, you have to have some years of praxis to train somebody and to have a broader image.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's the tough part in medicine.
It's true.
The fact that you always learn, and then you maybe start your career 30 something, right? Because you have to go through so many years of training and education, and then it's always a late career start.
That's true. That is something that people have to consider, and I think that's why not a lot of people are interested in medicine.
Maybe that's one of the issues that will come up in the future, because I think a lot more people are nowadays getting interested in maybe doing software development or even podcasting, like I do right now, or anything else online, rather than dirtying their hands in a human body.
That's true. You cannot work remotely, and that's a big disadvantage. You have to be there to see the patient and to work with the patient.
And sometimes it's long hours and nights and shifts and guards and all of that. So it's not easy.
Yeah, that's true. That's why you have to specialize. I think if you specialize, you can have a better balance of your life, and you can work. You don't have to work that much if you specialize and if you do just one thing, or if you can do that. I think that's advisable.
Olimpiu, thank you very, very much for today. It's been a wonderful discussion. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, I hope people will enjoy it, and somebody will learn something for this.
Yeah, me too. Definitely, that's the whole purpose of this. So we have the same hope.
Well, I don't think plastic surgeons will go, in near future on Mars, because they don't be needed there. But still, Mars can be on Earth as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
So much.
Thank you.